Chapter 1592. Yi Qing Luo took out her space pocket. When they saw the points on it, the students of Devil class were all stunned. A number was imprinted on the interspatial pocket. 1,640 points. Actually over 1,000. We're definitely going to win. We're definitely going to win this time. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 suddenly felt that it was worth it to work so hard for half a day. As long as they were victorious in this academy competition, they would be able to win. They might even be able to return to High Profound Class 2. Don't celebrate too early. Yi Qing Luo's expression was indifferent as she kept the space bag. 5,000 magical beasts. We've only obtained 1,640 magical beasts. That's a sure win. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 disagreed. With so many academies, there are still over 3,000 magic crystals left. If each academy gets a bit, it would be impossible to surpass the amount of magic crystals we have now. Yi Qing Luo scoffed. His disdainful gaze swept across the student. What do you mean by this? The Intermediate Profound Class 2 student's face darkened, revealing some anger. We've ambushed more than a dozen academies and robbed more than 1,000 mana crystals. Do you think those academies will let us go? Yi Qing Luo sneered as her lips twitched. There's a huge possibility. These students will choose another way to suppress the Heavenly Academy. The Intermediate Profound Class 2 student opened his mouth and only managed to utter a sentence after a while. What method? Cooperate with Nantao Academy. Yi Qing Luo stared at the eyes of the Intermediate Profound Class 2 students, as she spoke word by word. This was not entirely impossible. If it was her. Then, an academy squatted down several times and snatched away the fruits of their hard work that they had painstakingly collected for several hours. She would rather die in glory than live in dishonor. Apart from the few academies that he had saved previously, the other academies would definitely unite to let the Heavenly Academy have a taste of bitterness after the ruckus caused by them. And their backer. It was second only to the Heavenly Academy, Nantao Academy. They would unite and hand over all their magical crystals to Nantao Academy. If they were to gather with Nantao Academy to fight against the Heavenly Academy, the Heavenly Academy only had over 100 students. How could it compare to a dozen academies? But this is an academy competition. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 raised their doubts. If he handed over his magic crystal, wouldn't that cause their academy's ranking to fall to rock bottom? If one or two academies didn't get a single magic crystal, it would be a disgrace. But what if 10 over academies, or even all the academies, don't have any magic crystals? Yi Qing Luo's brows rose. The Intermediate Profound Class 2 students no longer had any doubts. The other students immediately panicked, then. Boss Qing Luo, what should we do? Before they unite, snatch more magic crystals. Yi Qing Luo replied. But, the various academies are working together to snatch our magic crystals. The Intermediate Profound Class 2 students were extremely worried. Yi Qing Luo smiled indifferently. I am guarding the space pocket, no one can snatch it. Where did his confidence come from? The students' gazes all fell onto Yi Qing Luo. When he saw that pair of enchanting eyes that were suffused with a cold light, he felt a chill run down his spine. Their hearts tightened. Fine, they admit it. Other than Yi Qing Luo, there was indeed no one else who could guard the space pocket. Alright, continue to split up. Yi Qing Luo saw that everyone had almost finished their rations and waved her hand as she gave the order. The students mourned. But upon recalling what Yi Qing Luo said earlier. Chapter 1593. Things were indeed as Yi Qing Luo had predicted. Over 10 academies, after experiencing Devil Class's continuous harassment, might as well go all the way and directly cooperate, choosing to seek refuge from Nantao Academy. Anyway, even if they went back to fight for the magic crystals, eventually it would fall into Devil Class's hands. Why not voluntarily give up the magic crystals to Nantao Academy? So that Nantao Academy could suppress Profound Academy's prestige. By the time they left the blazing flame lair, the 10 over academies would then jointly plead with Ghost Martial Artist, pushing all the blame onto Yiqing Luo, and pleading with Ghost Martial Artist to cancel the results of the competition, to use it as a reference for the Academy's annual ranking. Yiqing Luo and the rest searched one round but didn't find any academy. Qing Luo, have they all gone into hiding? Yan Xiaoyi looked at the quiet surroundings. These students are really smart, knowing that they can't beat them, so they took a detour. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. If we find traces of Nan Tao Academy, we will probably be able to find the other academy students. Seeking for backing so quickly? Yan Xiaoyi hugged her head. Then what should we do? Don't tell me we really have to go head-to-head with those few academies. She was extremely confident in Devil Class's students' ability. But, the opponents were over 10 academies. And they were all outstanding students from the various academies. The pressure was really huge. Who said we have to go head-to-head? Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes at her. I'm not interested in wasting time and energy. Who knew when they would go head-to-head? Would the dark forces take the opportunity to enter? Then let's find out Nan Tao Academy's whereabouts first and see how many academies are cooperating with Nan Tao Academy before making a decision. Yiqing Luo waved her hand with a casual look. The group of 50 over people scuttled swiftly in the forest. They hadn't discovered anything. The entire sky above the blazing flame lair was surrounded by balls of extremely thick black qi. From the looks of it, it was extremely horrifying. In front of the profound light mirror, Ghost Martial Artist and the few instructors had a panoramic view of everything that happened in the blazing flame lair. Looking at the profound light mirror, the figures of Yiqing Luo and the others were reflected. The expressions on the faces of the instructors had long since changed from the initial shock to the final one of being used to it. This devil class was always creating surprises for them all the time. Seeing how Yiqing Luo dealt with the strange beast, easily subduing the hearts of the various academy students, they were only left with admiration for Yiqing Luo. Not only was this girl's strength outstanding, but she was also very quick-witted. The Heavenly Academy was able to accept such a student. He wondered if it was the good fortune he had accumulated in his previous life. The few instructors were clicking their tongues, praising the devil class. Gue Wu's sleeve suddenly moved. The scene within the profound light mirror suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Zhou Mo walked over and asked. Something has happened. Gue Wu's sinister eyes narrowed, as he fixed his gaze on a spot on the profound light mirror. On the screen, it was Yiqing Luo leading a group of students, gradually approaching an academy. And not too far away from Yiqing Luo, at a corner, it was a black aura that lingered like smoke. That black aura could only be seen with the naked eye. It made people unhappy. Zhou Mo had also noticed the black qi, and his expression immediately darkened. That thing actually provoked us. I'm afraid the students are in danger. When the few instructors heard that, they had a dazed expression, not knowing what had happened. They looked at each other in dismay. It was rare to see Gue Wu and Zhou Mo's faces sunk. The matter in the blazing flame lair must be extremely serious. Chapter 1594. We can't create panic among the students. Gue Wu's deep cold voice brought along an irresistible pressure. Young Master Mo, let's go in first and investigate the source of that thing before making a decision. Zhou Mo's brows rose. I have the same intention. Gue Wu took a deep look at the profound light mirror, at that glaring black qi. Suddenly he fished out a space bag from his bosom and drew some profound light mirror qi. Pay attention to the movement of the black qi at all times. If you discover any strange movement or attack the students, immediately inform me through the profound light mirror. Gue Wu looked solemnly at the 4 instructors. The instructors tensed up as they stood upright. Yes. Gue Wu and Zhou Mo exchanged glances and didn't waste any more time. In a split second, the two of them turned into a black and white afterimage, disappearing in front of the instructor's eyes. Yiqing Luo and the rest finally caught a lone student in the academy. 10 over of them sharpened their blades and prepared to attack. But Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her palm and made a pause gesture. Devil class's students had long formed the habit of obeying orders. The moment she raised her palm, 50 over students hid themselves properly and stopped their attacks. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she glanced sideways. Her slightly knitted brows gradually twisted into a bundle. This was the feeling of profound yin qi. Ever since the profound heart jade returned to her body, Yiqing Luo's sensitivity towards profound yin qi was getting sharper and sharper. If she didn't sense wrongly, she seemed to have sensed the profound yin qi's presence earlier. It was people from the dark forces. Had the dark forces made their move? Yiqing Luo vigilantly released her own perception and spoke out in the mercenary group badge, "Everyone be careful, release your strongest perception and try your best to avoid danger." Devil class's students reflexively acted according to Yiqing Luo's command. "Qing Luo, what happened?" Yan Xiaoyi's expression turned grave as she carefully stuck to Yiqing Luo's side, looking around vigilantly. "There's profound yin qi." Yiqing Luo clenched her fists. "All of you must be careful. If you're controlled by the profound yin qi, you know the consequences." Recalling the last time, Long Yunzhan was controlled by the profound yin qi. He actually made a move on Yiqing Luo and stabbed Yan Xiaoyi. The devil class students felt their hairs stand on end. Everyone shivered and expressed their determination in the metal. "Don't worry, my lord. We will definitely stand strong." Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes. "We'll talk about it after you've done it." After warning the students of the devil class, Yiqing Luo then focused her attention on her perception. She could clearly sense that there was an extremely dense aura of mysterious yin qi in the vicinity. However, no matter how hard she tried, they were unable to ascertain exactly where the mysterious yin qi that they had sensed was coming from. He glanced at the students who were resting in front of him, not moving at all. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly tightened. A thought flashed across his mind. She clenched her fists. "Stay here and don't move. I'll go take a look." As soon as he finished speaking, he transformed into a shadow and merged into the air. In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared in front of a student from a nearby academy. Just as he approached, Yiqing Luo saw it. These students were surrounded by a faint layer of mysterious yin qi. That mysterious yin aura was gradually spreading. There were even some mysterious yin qi which directly enveloped those students. As for those students, their eyes were shut as they didn't move at all, not knowing if they were dead or alive. Chapter 1595. What was going on? How did the profound yin qi seep in? Furthermore, why did it feel so strange? Yiqing Luo's glower flame fan flipped as she condensed her profound qi, directly dispersing the profound yin qi which was climbing onto the students' bodies. That profound yin qi seemed to have its own consciousness. Like smoke, it formed into a human shape in mid-air as it bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Yiqing Luo's expression turned cold as she swept up a burst of profound ray from her backhand. A burst of powerful profound energy was like thousands of sharp blades, as it sliced the profound yin qi's human shape into pieces. However, this profound yin qi gathered once again. Countless wisps of mysterious yin qi rose from all directions. Like black smoke, it surged and surged as it permeated the surroundings. This was absolutely not normal. Profound yin qi was based on the dark force's own yin qi and profound qi, gathering into an aura. How could there possibly be such a dense profound yin qi appearing? To create such a profound yin qi's aura, it required at least 50 and above dark forces cultivators. Dark forces had put in a lot of effort to stop her? Impossible. The battle between the Imperial Palace and the dark forces had not ended yet. The Imperial Palace was still harassing the dark forces. The dark forces could at most send 300 to 400 people to deal with them in the flame nest. Adding up the various academies' students, there were at least 1,500 over people. Even if they deducted those students who were unwilling to cooperate, there were at least 1,000 people. In terms of numbers, they had a huge advantage. If the dark forces made another 10 over people to release their profound chi to deal with them, their brains must be spoilt to do this, right? The dense profound chi, which was like a black fog, seemed to be extremely interested in Yiqing Luo. It kept rubbing against each other as it tried to charge towards Yiqing Luo. The profound chi has become so rampant. The students of devil class who were hiding in the dark naturally saw this scene. Their expressions were stunned as they stared dumbfoundedly at Yiqing Luo, who was enveloped by the profound chi. Why are you still in a daze? Do it. Find the source of the profound chi. The glower flame fan in Yiqing Luo's hands had not stopped as it kept on waving, sweeping up streams of air waves, dissipating the surrounding profound chi. When the devil class students received the order, they swarmed forward. Once there were more people. Under the circumstances where everyone was on high alert, there was no way to launch a sneak attack with this mysterious chi. Finally, under the pressure of a student's relentless pursuit, the mysterious chi drilled into the ground. The entire ground quaked and shook a few times. And then, the mysterious chi disappeared without a trace. Ran away? Kitty Lee moved her ears and nose, but she didn't smell that disgusting smell. He escaped pretty fast. Kitty Lee can't even smell that smell. The dark forces have indeed made their move. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as her gaze turned to one side. Lulu, take a look at these students first and see how their situation is. The other brothers, go search around the surroundings to see where the source of this profound chi is. Baiming Lulu picked up the medical kit, before jumping and squatting in front of the students. Just as he was about to reach out and touch the student's wrist to feel his pulse, suddenly, the student with closed eyes grabbed Baiming Lulu's wrist with a backhand. Ah! Baiming Lulu screamed and tried to push away the student's hand. But that student's grip was extremely tight. Following that, he opened his tightly shut eyes. Chapter 1596. Lulu. A clear voice was heard and a figure dashed to Baiming Lulu's side. The young man's slender fingers locked onto that student's hand, which was pressing on Baiming Lulu's wrist, and forcefully pulled that student's hand down. Lian Cheng. Baiming Lulu's wrist finally broke free from that student as she was so frightened that she burrowed into Baiming Lian Cheng's arms. What's going on? Baiming Lian Cheng hugged Baiming Lulu tightly as he stared at the other students in front of him and frowned. Madam Qing Luo, these students' eyes. Baiming Lulu's shriek had already made Yiqing Luo's attention towards this side. Hearing Baiming Lian Cheng's words, Yiqing Luo's figure stretched out as she speedily shifted to the side of the both of them. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and met the other student's eyes. She saw that student with a pair of empty and lifeless eyes. In his eyes, there were wisps of black qi lingering around. That was profound chi. This student's eyes were completely shrouded by a ball of black mist. No wonder Baiming Lulu cried out in fright when she saw it. Profound chi, in this student's eyes. Could it be that this was a greedy person who had signed a soul contract with the dark forces? This thought had just flashed past her mind when Yiqing Luo immediately denied it. A cultivator who had signed a soul contract with the dark forces. He was making use of the profound chi to achieve his own motive. And not like now. His eyes were filled with profound chi. But this person had long stopped breathing. Take a look at the other students. Yiqing Luo stared at those eyes which were filled with profound chi, and after some time, she immediately opened her mouth to give an order. Not long later, Yan Xiaoyi came back with an answer. This should be a third-tier academy. There's a total of 52 students and all of them have stopped breathing. Not only that. These students who had stopped breathing could still do the same as what they did to Baiming Lulu earlier. Stretching out their hands to grab them. Then they opened their eyes. Without exception, their eyes were filled with profound chi. The entire atmosphere started to turn strange. What on earth are the dark forces trying to do? Yan Xiaoyi's slender brows creased tightly as she stared at those pairs of empty eyes on the ground, feeling goosebumps. No matter how strong she was usually. Deep down, she was still a woman. Shadow, have you discovered anything? Yiqing Luo's gaze looked outside the crowd, at the pink dumpling which was still wandering around. Mo Ying heard the voice and stopped in her tracks. She turned her head stiffly. There was not a trace of emotion on that extremely sweet but extremely expressionless face. His lifeless eyes were even more empty than those of the dead students on the ground. It was a horrifying sight to behold. There's a formation. Mo Ying's red lips opened and closed, her soft voice spitting out 3 words. Array formation? Yiqing Luo's mind suddenly cleared up. That's right. It was an array formation. The mystical Yin energy that could only be condensed by 50 dark organizations combined. And this third-tier academy student had died mysteriously. It was all because of the array formation. The formation of the dark forces. Have you found the array core? Yiqing Luo immediately asked. Although Mo Ying usually had a poker face, she didn't have much of a presence. But she was more attentive. It was precisely because she had no sense of existence. Only then would she be able to investigate the surrounding situation in the shortest time possible. Chapter 1597. F***CK. What kind of heaven-defying formation was this? How come she had never heard of such a formation? Cough cough. In his mind, Old Man Song coughed a few times. This array, the Nirvana realm doesn't have it, the upper realm doesn't have it, but the dark forces can have it. F***CK. To be able to provide an endless supply of dark forces energy, then what's the point of me fighting with them? Yiqing Luo exploded. She was human. People with flesh and blood. Fighting against the monsters of the dark forces was already an incredible feat. Those monsters were even using hacks. Then how was she supposed to fight? That was the rhythm of a suicide mission. Could she just turn around and run? There are not many people in the dark forces, but even the upper realm is very afraid of the dark forces because of the forbidden spells and secret techniques of the dark forces. Old Man Sung explained, this array formation was created using the dark force's unique forbidden curse. It indeed looks savage and inhumane, but this kind of forbidden curse array formation is an existence that cannot be tolerated by the heavens. Doesn't that little loli already know the direction of the formation eye? As long as the eye of the formation is destroyed, the formation will naturally be broken. What kind of solution was this? Destroy the formation eye. It could break any array formation, okay? She had read quite a lot, so she couldn't be fooled. Ahem. What I mean is that the formation core of this formation is different from other formations. Other formations have barriers and self-protection abilities, but the formation core of a formation created by a forbidden spell is extremely weak. As long as you approach it, the formation core will be destroyed. Sensing Yiqing Luo's inner agitation swelling up, Old Man Sung violently coughed a few times and no longer kept him in suspense. It seemed like he could only destroy the formation core. Shadow, where is the eye of the array? Yiqing Luo took a deep breath to ease the emotions in her heart. Mo Ying was about to speak. Suddenly, he heard a complacent and shameless laughter coming from behind him. Isn't this a student from the devil class? This voice made Yiqing Luo's head hurt. Zi Qianqian, this haunting woman. Why did he bump into Zi Qianqian everywhere he went? Everyone looked toward the source of the voice. Zi Qianqian was dressed in a green academy uniform, looking like a proud plum flower that stood alone in the world. Beside her was Su Xiaoyan, who had also changed into a green academy uniform. Yiqing Luo wasn't unfamiliar with this academy uniform. Therefore, he only glanced at it. Yiqing Luo knew which academy Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaoyan had collaborated with. That academy was Phoenix Academy. As expected, behind Zi Qianqian were approximately 140 over students, following behind Ji Tsang Tian and Lan Ling Nua in a majestic manner. He left valiantly and in high spirits. He walked like the wind. Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaoyan approached together. He looked at the corpses on the ground that had long since stopped breathing. The two little beauties were so scared that their faces turned pale. She immediately ignored her demeanor and screamed out loud. Zi Qianqian shouted. Ji Tsangtian took quick steps forward. After seeing the corpse, Ji Tsangtian's eyes actually revealed a wild joy and smile. Devil class. You all actually killed the students from other academies just for the magic crystals. Zi Qianqian directly put a big hat on Yiqing Luo. When he saw Zi Qianqian appear, he was shocked. Yiqing Luo had already guessed the current situation. These students, Zi Qianqian would definitely think of ways and means to push the crime of killing onto devil class. Heavenly Academy would also be disqualified from the competition because of this. Heavenly Academy was not only at the bottom among the other academies. Chapter 1598. The students of the Heavenly Academy are really savage. Ji Tsangtian laughed sinisterly as he walked up. All the students in my Celestial Phoenix Academy have seen it clearly. A few students from the Celestial Phoenix Academy looked at the dead students. Boss Ji, these are students from the Wind Vane Academy. All dead? Ji Tsangtian casually asked. The students of the Celestial Phoenix Academy immediately nodded. They are all dead. The viciousness in Ji Tsangtian's eyes gradually expanded. He sneered as he looked at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo, what else do you have to quibble about? You're slandering me. Devil class's student's face turned black as he pointed at Ji Tsangtian and shouted angrily. When we came here, these people were already dead, so what has it got to do with us? Ji Tsangtian gave a cold harumph. There are so many pairs of eyes watching, how could it be fake? You. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand to block the devil class's students as she stepped forward. Her squinting eyes rose slightly. It was an invisible aura that was being released. This made Ji Tsangtian and the others' hearts tremble inexplicably. Ji Tsangtian's body tensed up as his expression turned stiff. He turned his head and looked at the 100 or so brothers behind him. He took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. I can't let this bitch have another chance to make a comeback. He couldn't let this bitch destroy everything he had. I can't be afraid of this bitch. Ji Tsangtian kept on warning himself in his heart. Yiqing Luo's vision lightly swept past Ji Tsangtian, Zi Qianqian, and the others. Her gaze was calm and extremely cold. It landed on everyone. It was like a thin layer of ice sweeping across their skin. An inexplicable chill ran down his spine. What a coincidence that Celestial Phoenix Academy has come. Yiqing Luo said with a smile. It was indeed a coincidence. Only then did they realize that the students of the Wind Bloodline Academy were all dead. Ji Tsangtian led his bunch of brothers as he rushed over. If not for the fact that he was a student of the Wind Bloodline Academy, he would have died to the profound Yin Qi. Yiqing Luo even suspected if these students were killed by Ji Tsangtian and the others, intentionally framing her. However, based on the current situation, even if the Wind Vane Academy wasn't killed by the Celestial Phoenix Academy, that was also related to Ji Tsangtian. That time when Ji Tsangtian joined the Mercenary Association, his name was removed from the Mercenary Association and the entire Ji family was blacklisted by the Mercenary Association. All these were because of Yiqing Luo, which caused him to have no way to make a comeback. At that critical moment, Ji Tsangtian would be targeted by the dark forces. He could even make deals with the dark forces. These were all within Yiqing Luo's expectations. However, earlier when they were beside the strange beasts, Yiqing Luo didn't sense any profound Yin Qi from Ji Tsangtian. At this moment, close contact. Yiqing Luo had not sensed any profound Yin Qi from Ji Tsangtian. What a coincidence. Of course it was a coincidence. If it wasn't a coincidence, how could I have caught you killing the students of the Wind Vane Academy and exposed the true face of a vicious woman like you? Ji Tsangtian puffed out his chest, trying his best to make himself look even more awe-inspiring. Behind her, the 140-plus students of the Celestial Phoenix Academy immediately raised their arms and shouted in unison, "Expose the true face of this vicious woman. I'll expose the true face of this vicious woman." Their voices were extremely loud and clear in unison. Yiqing Luo's brows rose. These people were apparently trying to lure the students from the other academies over. Chapter 1599. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as her lips curled into a cold arc which didn't look like a smile. Her expression was calm, without the slightest hint of panic. Everything is based on evidence. You want to make the Heavenly Academy a scapegoat? You've underestimated the Heavenly Academy. She held on to the devouring flame fan and lightly waved it. She raised her brows and said, "Then what if I say that this person was killed by your Celestial Phoenix Academy?" Huh? Do you think? How many people would believe the words of someone like you, who plunders other academies' magical crystals, when you say that? Anne. I have a student from the Heavenly Academy who personally identified you. Ji Tsung Tian had long made full preparations. Totally not afraid of Yiqing Luo's retaliation. Yiqing Luo's gaze fell onto Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaoyan. Su Xiaoyan was supporting Zi Qianqian, and when she sensed Yiqing Luo's line of sight, she immediately stood in front of Zi Qianqian and forced herself to speak out. "Student Yiqing Luo, it's a fact that you killed the Wind Vein Academy's students because of the magic crystals. This matter concerns more than 50 lives. Even if it's for the sake of the Heavenly Academy, we will absolutely not watch you commit the wrong things time and time again." Yes, more than 50 lives are at stake. Zi Qianqian looked at those students lying on the ground as he sighed softly, as though he was extremely regretful. "Student Yiqing Luo, follow us to meet Gue Wu." The moment Zi Qianqian's voice fell, Yiqing Luo's originally calm and tranquil expression suddenly surfaced a layer of coldness. Those torch-like eyes were like sharp blades that pierced straight into Zi Qianqian's heart. "Oh. Meet Master Gue Wu? That's a good idea." Her voice was extremely cold, as if it was wrapped in a layer of frost. Zi Qianqian was overwhelmed with shock. How could Yiqing Luo possibly agree to meet Gue Wu? Had Yiqing Luo found out about something? Zi Qianqian's eyes were filled with fear as he met Yiqing Luo's enchanting eyes. How could she possibly let Yiqing Luo meet Gue Wu? If they were to meet Gue Wu, wouldn't the meticulous plan that she and Feng Ling had devised be ruined? They could not let Yiqing Luo leave the blazing flame nest. He could not drag the ghost martial artist into this. She must make Yiqing Luo die here before the Academy's competition. At this moment, the huge commotion created by the Celestial Phoenix Academy. This attracted the attention of many nearby academies. Not long after, the students of the 3 academies walked over. "What's going on?" one of the academies asked. Ji Tsung Tian naturally added oil and vinegar as he pushed everything onto Heavenly Academy. "I heard someone died." The students from the 3 academies were stunned. A student from one of the academies immediately went to check on the student from the Wind Vein Academy. Then, he realized that the students of the Wind Vein Academy had indeed stopped breathing. His face turned pale with fright. They were the elites chosen by the various academies. Regardless of talent or family background, they were both extremely powerful. Although Gue Wujiang's words this time were a little harsh. He even said that he wouldn't care about their lives. But, these students understood very well in their hearts. Even in the Jianghu, the ghost martial artist's position was highly respected. It was also impossible for him to watch as his students died in the flame nest. They had always harbored such thoughts. But, now that he had seen a student die, he couldn't help but sigh. The fear in the students' hearts was completely unleashed. Chapter 1600. No. Impossible. A clear and melodious female voice suddenly rang out. Following that, a petite figure emerged from the 300 over students and ran towards Yiqing Luo. Little she? Yiqing Luo saw the little girl who had pounced into her arms, and her lips unconsciously curled into a smile. The current I Ching Luo was no longer cold and aloof. Coincidentally, among the 3 academies who had rushed over, one of them was the Universe Academy which I Ching Luo had saved by the riverside. Sister Ching Luo will not kill people for magic crystals. Sister Ching Luo respects life the most. She stared furiously at Ji Tsung Tian. Her intuition told her. This man named Ji Tsung Tian was definitely not an upright person. Ji Tsung Tian's expression sunk slightly. He had asked Celestial Phoenix Academy's students to create a huge commotion. It was to completely seal off Yi Ching Luo's escape route. He had not expected that he had attracted Devil Class's helper instead. What Academy's student? When did he have such a good relationship with Yi Ching Luo? Ji Tsung Tian sized up Shi's uniform. Immediately following that, a tall figure blocked Ji Tsung Tian's line of sight. Yu stood upright as he stood in front of Ji Tsung Tian. Student Ji Tsung Tian, everything must be based on evidence. If you don't have any evidence, then don't keep on slandering Heavenly Academy and slandering Devil Class. Immediately following that, 70 over students walked out from the group and followed Yu as they stood on Yi Ching Luo's side. Good. Good. Universe Academy, since you want to be Heavenly Academy's helper, then the Wind Vein Academy's student's death is definitely related to you. The both of you are in cahoots. Ji Tsung Tian was ignored by Universe Academy's students as his anger surged. In the past when Blue Dragon Mercenary Group was still around, whoever saw him, wouldn't they address him respectfully as group leader Ji? But now, a small third-tier academy also dared to look down on him. Ji Tsung Tian's eyes were filled with viciousness as he turned his head and called out to his brothers, "Find me Gue Wu. Let Gue Wu handle this matter." Student Ji. Zi Qianqian's heart trembled as he immediately spoke out, trying to persuade Ji Tsung Tian. Before she could speak, she heard a flirtatious voice interrupting her. Brother Tsungtian is right, the students of the Wind Vein Academy died in the blazing flame lair, whether it was the doing of the Devil Class or not. Once we find Master Gue Wu, everything will naturally be clear. Lan Ling Noa walked out flirtatiously as her petite body covered Ji Tsung Tian's body. Lan Ling Noa hadn't dressed up during the past few days in the flame lair. She hadn't dared to appear in front of her classmates. But today, seeing Zi Qianqian pestering Ji Tsung Tian non-stop, and even acting coquettishly towards Ji Tsung Tian several times, Lan Ling Noa could no longer endure it. She was the #1 beauty of the Eastern continent. She was the princess of the East continent. Even if she didn't like Ji Tsung Tian. But Ji Tsung Tian was already her man. She would never allow any woman to snatch her man away. Sister Noa. The minute Ji Tsung Tian saw Lan Ling Noa, his expression instantly turned gentle. He stretched out his long arm and pulled Lan Ling Noa into his embrace. Aren't you feeling unwell? Why don't you rest more? Such a huge matter has happened, how can I rest in peace? Lan Ling Noa used a gentle tone to reply. Feeling the concern from Sister Noa, Ji Tsung Tian's heart instantly felt a warm current brushing past. He tightened his arms as he laughed softly. All right, Brother Tsung Tian will settle this matter immediately, so that my sister Noa can rest in peace. Lan Ling Noa pouted coquettishly as she looked at Ji Tsung Tian shyly. Chapter 1601. As Lan Ling Noa said that, she didn't forget to throw a provocative gaze towards Zi Qianqian. Don't you know whose man he is and dare to snatch him away? Who do you think you are? Zi Qianqian's face instantly turned pale, and immediately following that, it turned steely green and then black. That exquisite face revealed a twisted malevolent look. Zi Qianqian's fingers locked onto Su Xiaolian's wrist as she suppressed the anger in her heart. Goddess Qianqian, you must bear with it. Don't bother about what that coquettish fox wants to do, as long as we drag the time and lure all the students here. Our mission will be completed. Su Xiaolian comforted her softly, just a little while more and we will be able to watch Yi Ching Luo die in pain. Just bear with it for a little while more. Zi Qianqian took a deep breath. What kind of person did that coquettish fox treat her, Zi Qianqian, as? A man like Ji Tsung Tian, who had no ambition, no ability, was fit to enter her eyes? A man who could make her, Zi Qianqian, take a fancy to. Other than Nangong Firen, there was no one else. But Zi Qianqian had just calmed herself down in her heart. She saw Ji Tsung Tian sending someone to look for Gui Wu under Lan Ling Nua's persuasion. How could Zi Qianqian allow her plan to fail at the last moment? She could only head up and block Ji Tsung Tian. Student Ji, Master Gui Wu said before the competition ends, we will absolutely not be able to find Gui Wu and absolutely not be able to leave the blazing nest. Now is a matter of life and death. Any other rules are all fake. Lan Ling Nua pushed Zi Qianqian's body away as she revealed a smile which she thought was peerlessly beautiful. This sister, could it be that just because the person who killed the students is from Heavenly Academy, you want to absolve Heavenly Academy? If I wanted to absolve Heavenly Academy, I wouldn't be standing here right now. Zi Qianqian suppressed her anger as she looked coldly at Lan Ling Nua. On the other hand, Student Lan, you kept persuading Student Ji to look for Master Gui Wu. I'm afraid you've received some benefits from other academies and intentionally want Celestial Phoenix Academy to break the competition's rules to be eliminated? You're talking rubbish. I wholeheartedly care for Big Brother Tsang Tian. How could I possibly cause Celestial Phoenix Academy to be eliminated? Lan Ling Nua's face instantly flushed red as she held on to Ji Tsang Tian's arm. Brother Tsang Tian, look at her. Student Z. Ji Tsung Tian grumbled as he stared at Zi Qianqian and immediately turned around to coax Lan Ling Nua. The devil class students who were watching from afar expressed, children fighting for a man, what a great show. If they fought even more fiercely, this show would be even more exciting. Zi Qianqian was stared at by Ji Tsung Tian, causing Zi Qianqian's pride as the number one beauty to suffer a heavy blow. Her looks and her abilities were clearly above Lan Ling Nua's. Why was Ji Tsung Tian's vision always on Lan Ling Nua? Goddess Qianqian. Su Xiaolian could feel the rage in Zi Qianqian's heart surging. He was about to open his mouth to persuade Zi Qianqian. However, he heard the sound of messy footsteps coming from all directions. The students of the various academies gathered and walked over. The moment Imo Han Shang saw the situation of the confrontation, he took a look at Ji Tsung Tian and Zi Qianqian. Finally his gaze fell onto the corpses all over the ground. Students died. The various academies' students were all stunned. Some students even specially went over to confirm. After they found out that those students had indeed stopped breathing, their faces were filled with shock and astonishment. Chapter 1602. Yi Qing Luo had yet to reply. Su Xiaolian was the first to reply. Devil class students killed 52 students from Wind Vein Academy in order to snatch the magic crystals. When the students from various academies heard that, they all looked towards Yi Qing Luo's direction in disbelief. Following that, the other academies also heard this sentence. What? Killing people for the magic crystals? Devil class is too arrogant. They even dared to kill people. We must report this matter to Master Gui Wu. This kind of vicious and cruel academy should be expelled from the academy forever. Right. We must report this to Master Gui Wu, to the main courtyard. Heavenly Academy is too much. 1,500 over students were gathered in one hall. Just one sentence from each of them could overturn the entire blazing lair. However, the devil class, which was condemned by the masses, remained silent on the spot. Not a single sound was heard and there was no expression on their faces. It was like they didn't listen to anyone's words at all. Hey! Devil class, what's with your attitude? Did you really think that you can do anything just because you performed well during the training? A few of the academy's students were already extremely dissatisfied with Yi Qing Luo. Especially, there were at least 17 to 18 academies which had their magic crystals stolen by devil class. Now seeing devil class being involved in such a big matter, All of them couldn't wait to step on it a few times to vent the anger in their hearts. Cough. One must know that there were only 28 academies who entered the blazing lair for training. There were 17 to 18 academies which had been robbed. The remaining academies, if it wasn't for the fact that they reacted fast enough to seek cooperation from Nan Tao Academy, they would probably have been robbed by Devil Class. One Devil Class, 50 to 60 people. But they had robbed one after another. The maximum number of people was 300, at least 50 academies. Devil Class's ability was indeed very strong. But it was different now. Their various academies were all gathered together. 1,000 over students. Why would they be afraid of a 50 to 60 people Devil Class? Especially when Devil Class was involved in a murder case. Even here, they had ruthlessly taught a lesson to a bunch of Devil Class students. By then, they could also say that it was because Devil Class was disobedient after killing someone and forcefully fought with them, trying to escape. And they were the envoys of justice, stopping Devil Class. Thinking like this, the various academies' students' gazes towards Yi Qing Luo instantly turned sinister. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes slightly, as her mind kept on spinning rapidly. She didn't have the leisure to pay attention to those insignificant words from the various academies. His mind was filled with strange thoughts. This was too strange. Had she overlooked something? His brain was working non-stop. Suddenly, Yi Qing Luo's gaze fixed on a certain spot. That was in Zi Qianqian's direction. At this moment, Zi Qianqian was looking at the surrounding students from the various academies, his eyes filled with joy and surprise. Su Xiaolian whispered something into Zi Qianqian's ear. Zi Qianqian's face lit up with joy, and his eyes emitted an intense and dense killing intent. Shortly after, the two of them looked at each other and smiled. Immediately after, Su Xiaolian held onto Zi Qianqian's arm and was about to take advantage of the commotion to sneak away. However, he heard a cold interrogative voice. Why did you all rush over at the same time? That was Yi Qing Luo's voice. The entire audience fell silent for several breaths of time. Even Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaolian stopped in their tracks. Chapter 1603. What the? This slut is too arrogant. How dare she question us in return? What does it have to do with you how we rushed over? You're a woman who doesn't hesitate to kill others in order to plunder magic crystals. What rights do you have to question us? Yi Qing Luo, you've already violated Ghost Martial Masters competition rules. Your Heavenly Academy has already been eliminated. All the students from the various academies started to berate her furiously. One after another, it shook everyone's ears as though it was pierced by a sharp blade. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as her eyes were covered with frost, so cold that it could pierce through one's bones. Her gaze swept past the surrounding students one by one. I'll ask again, why on earth did all of you rush over at the same time? That chilling gaze made the students from the various academies inexplicably tighten their hearts. They were completely stunned by this pair of eyes. Whether it was the heart or the soul. As though they were pinched in the palm of Yi Qing Luo's hand. They were powerless to struggle, powerless to break free. This. What kind of imposing manner was this? How arrogant must it be, to be able to make them feel that they couldn't defy it? This majestic aura was actually from a young lady. A young lady who they originally looked down on, released such an imposing manner. Madame Qing Luo, We heard the commotion over here and saw. It seemed like it was on fire and was filled with smoke. We thought something had happened, so we came over. The one who spoke was the one who was rescued by the stream. Me too. Right. I was attracted by that ball of smoke, but the minute I came over, I only saw you guys. Right, it's smoke. When these words were said by the few academies at the same time, the crowd instantly understood something. Immediately, their faces turned pale. Oh no! There's a trap. Suddenly, the students from the various academies saw a shadow flashing past in midair. In a breath's time, they saw Yiqing Luo standing in front of Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaolian. Zi Qianqian was apparently shocked. When Yiqing Luo appeared, she gave a shrill shriek as she retreated several steps backwards. If it wasn't for Su Xiaolian who kept pulling her, Zi Qianqian would have fallen onto the ground in a sorry state. You. What do you want to do? Ah. Before Zi Qianqian could finish his sentence, he suddenly let out a miserable shriek. Yiqing Luo directly stretched out her hand and clasped Zi Qianqian's shoulder. Her slender fingers were sparkling like jade, like the most beautiful jade in the world. However, in Zi Qianqian's eyes, those hands were torture tools from hell. Her jade-like fingers seemed to be lightly resting on Zi Qianqian's shoulder. Only Zi Qianqian himself knew. Her shoulder bones had already been crushed by Yiqing Luo. The intense pain caused Zi Qianqian's facial features to contort. Yiqing Luo's elbow slightly exerted force as her 5 fingers clasped onto Zi Qianqian's lower jaw. It's you. A voice as calm as still water came out from Yiqing Luo's mouth. His eyes were ice cold. Emotionless words. This caused Zi Qianqian's heart to gradually sink into a state of collapse. This was not a question. It was a certainty. Yiqing Luo had already guessed that all these were because of her. Zi Qianqian was in so much pain that her face turned pale. However, when she thought about the current situation, she could not help but laugh coldly. So what if it's me? Yiqing Luo, you can no longer escape. All of you will die. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly. Her long and narrow eyes outlined a cold arc. Her 5 fingers tightened again. The lower jaw bone was also directly shattered in Yiqing Luo's palm. Chapter 1604. Ah, a miserable shriek rang out from Zi Qianqian's mouth. Yiqing Luo loosened her fingers. Zi Qianqian fell weakly onto the ground. Su Xiaolian immediately supported Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian opened his mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. Bright red blood oozed from her mouth. You want to kill someone in front of so many students? You simply have no respect for the law. Su Xiaolian was so frightened that her entire body trembled. She felt uneasy as she looked at her blood-stained hands. Your debt will be settled by Master Gui Wu and the headquarters. Not only will the 2 of you become the sinners of the Nirvana realm, but your 2 families will also be destroyed because of your foolish actions today. Yiqing Luo's slender brows furrowed slightly as her clear and charming eyes shot straight towards Zi Qianqian. His powerful aura was so oppressive that Su Xiaolian couldn't even make a sound. Zi Qianqian's fingers trembled as she tightly grasped Su Xiaolian's sleeve. His blood-stained hands looked especially horrifying. You, all of you, must die today. Every single word was like a demon demanding his life. The surrounding students felt their hairs stand on end when they saw Zi Qianqian's ferocious and bloody appearance. Get out of here. Yes, let's go first. This place is too strange. After coming to their senses, the leaders of the various academies immediately called out to their students and spread out in all directions. They could stand in the fire nest. This also meant that they were elite students handpicked by the various academies. Not only was he talented, he was also not stupid. After Yiqing Luo's reminder and looking at Zi Qianqian's attitude, soon, he understood. This was a trap. It's useless. We can't get out of here. Yiqing Luo looked at the students who were escaping in all directions as her eyes were covered with a chilly intent. She had always been vigilant and calculative. However, he didn't expect that the dark faction would use Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaolian, these 2 cripples, to set up a forbidden spell formation here. Furthermore, he had lured all of the students here. Dark forces, he was prepared to make his move. How would these students be able to leave this place? As expected, the students who had scattered and left one after another retreated step by step. One by one, they returned to their original positions. He forced the students of the academy to retreat step by step. They were rows of black-robed figures. Their imposing manner was like that of evil spirits that had come from hell. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she sized up the surrounding dark forces which were pressing over. As expected, it was just as the mutated beast had said. There were about 400 people in the Dark Coalition. Although there were only 400 Dark Ones from the Dark Forces, but, facing these young men and women who had yet to experience slaughter and had yet to truly step onto the battlefield, Lin Fan's eyes widened. Even if the total number of students added up was 1,500 people, it would be impossible for them to win. But the Dark Forces wanted to deal with them. It was also a piece of cake. This group of dark people, Yiqing Luo could clearly sense the extremely strong profound yin qi on them. These dark beings. It was different from the dark ones she had met before. Be it in terms of strength or intelligence, this batch of dark ones was more than a level higher than the dark ones they had encountered before. What is this? What's going on? Why can't we get out? Why did he come back? And these damn things, who the hell are they? For a moment, the fear in the students' hearts was ignited. Chapter 1605. The students of the various academies were already panicking out of their wits. Boss and I, what should we do? These people don't look friendly. Boss and I, aren't we competing in the academy? These people. Could it be that these people were deliberately sent by Master Guo Wu to increase the pressure on us? Boss and I, can we leave this place alive? Voices filled with fear rang out. The person who was called Boss Ni in the middle was Nantao Academy's boss, who was also the Academy's representative, Ni Linkong. Ni Linkong was the strongest person in Class A1 of Nantao Academy. It was similar to the existence of High Profound Class 2 in the Heavenly Academy, Lu Shuiyu. After entering the Flame Lair for training, Nantao Academy had always listened to Ni Linkong's orders and persisted until now. Now that something had happened, everyone's first thought was to seek Ni Linkong's help. Ni Linkong's expression was grave as if he was facing a formidable enemy. They had already reached an agreement with 7 or 8 academies. And he was prepared to collect more magic crystals to defeat the Heavenly Academy in one fell swoop. Just as the few academies were discussing how to deal with the devil class. Suddenly, a series of shouts came from not far away. Then, he saw black smoke rising from the sky not far away. Just like a fire, black smoke filled the entire nest that was glowing with scarlet flames. The other academies thought that since there were many of them, there was nothing to be afraid of, so they all headed in that direction. Unexpectedly, but he couldn't get out of this damned place. He looked around at the black-robed men surrounding them. Ni Linkong was not foolish enough to think that this was an opponent sent by Guo Wu to increase their pressure. Ni Linkong had a bad feeling when he saw the bodies of the 50-odd students from the Wind Vane Academy lying on the ground. Han Shang, what do you think we should do now? Ni Linkong's vision fell onto his own brother, Mo Han Shang. Mo Han Shang was the young master of the Mercenary Association. He had been in the mercenary guild since he was young, following other mercenary groups around. In terms of wilderness survival and actual combat experience, he far surpassed them. Linkong, this matter isn't simple. These people. I'm afraid they are the Dark Ones from the Dark Forces. Mo Han Shang squinted his delicate brows, as he stared at the surrounding black-robed men. Dark Forces? Ni Linkong's face turned pale. Why would someone from the Dark Organization appear in the Flame Lair? Could it be? Ni Linkong's gaze suddenly turned towards Yiqing Luo's direction. It's her. She's the one who attracted the Dark Forces? Yiqing Luo had once engaged in a fierce battle with the Dark Forces in King Ling's tomb. With the power of the Holy Beast and the Divine Dragon, they defeated the Dark Forces. Meanwhile, the Dark Forces had infiltrated the Nirvana realm once again, attracting the attention of the major sects and clans, and they worked together to deal with the Dark Forces. What's more, Yiqing Luo and the Imperial Palace's DMO Xian's relationship was not shallow. Recently, the Imperial Palace had been fighting with the dark forces several times. A series of conjectures appeared in his mind, and Linkong increasingly felt that the dark forces were targeting Yiqing Luo. If they were here for Yiqing Luo, then they just had to hand Yiqing Luo over. Wouldn't that solve the problem? Linkong, dispel your thoughts. Mo Han Shang could tell what Linkong was thinking with a single glance. He calmly lifted his eyelids. If the dark forces were here for Qing Luo, they wouldn't have made such a big fuss. What do you mean? Linkong frowned. Chapter 1606. Barrier? Linkong cried out in surprise. No wonder, they couldn't leave this place no matter what. It turned out that the way was blocked by a barrier. The barrier was clearly set up by the dark forces. From what Qing Luo said to Zi Qianqian earlier, if I didn't guess wrongly, I'm afraid this dark force was attracted over by Zi Qianqian. This barrier was able to be conjured under the eyes of Gui Wu and the other elders, and it was all because of Zi Qianqian's help. Mo Han Shang's analysis made Linkong's expression suddenly turn gloomy. A pair of sharp eyes glared fiercely at Zi Qianqian, who was leaning against Su Xiaolian in a sorry state and covered in blood. I've heard that the dark forces have always been enticing profound practitioners to sign soul contracts with them. Mo Han Shang's gaze was solemn, which also represents that the forces of darkness require the souls of profound practitioners, and this time, the forces of darkness have trapped us within this barrier, so I'm afraid it's because they want to take away our souls. Take away our souls? Linkong's expression turned ugly. Are we all going to die here? Not necessarily. Mo Han Shang suddenly raised his eyes, as his gaze went past Linkong, looking straight at a certain spot behind him. Cooperate with Qing Luo, and drag on till Master Gui Wu breaks the barrier, and rushes over to save us. Devil class is Yiqing Luo? Linkong's brows creased. Why are you so close to that bunch of people from Devil class? We had just agreed to cooperate with various academies and now we're cooperating with Yiqing Luo. When your life is at stake, the most important thing is to stay alive, isn't it? Mo Han Shang smiled as he patted Linkong's shoulder lightly. For the sake of the overall situation, believe in Qing Luo. Linkong and Mo Han Shang had been good friends for many years. Linkong knew his brother's character very well. He was someone who could make the young master of the Mercenary Association, who was used to seeing outstanding profound practitioners, look at him in a different light. There must be something special about her. With this thought in mind, Linkong clenched his fists. All right. I'll believe you this time. Saying that, Linkong pushed aside those students behind him and walked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The enemy was right in front of them. Both sides' auras clashed, but no one dared to act rashly. As for the academies, they had placed all their hopes on the Nantao Academy. Seeing this, the boss of Nantao College moved. The gazes of all the students also followed closely. Following that, she saw Linkong standing in front of Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as she sized up the imposing young man in front of her. Student Yiqing Luo, those people dressed in black robes, are the dark forces' dark agents, right? Linkong didn't beat around the bush as he spoke out directly. Dark forces? The crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. The whispers of fear and clamor grew louder. When the dark forces heard Linkong's question, they sneered disapprovingly. They had no intention of deliberately concealing their identities. Even if they knew that they were dark ones from the dark forces, so what? In the end, these students would still be buried here. Oh. So boss also knows about the dark forces. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as though she was in deep thoughts. What you said is right. Their bodies are all emitting the dark forces' dark aura. As for Linkong's goal, Yiqing Luo could more or less guess what was going on. Chapter 1607. Yiqing Luo glanced behind him with a smile which didn't look like a smile, as though she was hesitating and wanted to speak out. If Nantao Academy were to cooperate with me now, wouldn't we be letting down the other academy's good intentions? What she guessed earlier was indeed right. They had plundered the various academies' magic crystals. Those academies had indeed gone over to Nantao Academy. Now this scenario was a little awkward. A few academies had gone over to Nantao Academy to seek cooperation, seeking to get rid of Heavenly Academy, in order to take revenge for their stolen magic crystals. Now, Nantao Academy's big boss had initiated cooperation with Heavenly Academy's Yiqing Luo. Those few big bosses who had gone over to Nantao Academy had a colorful expression on their faces. Ni Lingkong was stunned as he turned back to look at those few big bosses and opened his mouth, wanting to explain something. A slender hand was placed on his shoulder. Mo Han Shang walked up slowly as he stared at Yiqing Luo with some reproach. "Qing Luo, stop making fun of him." Soon after, Mo Han Shang's expression was calm as he looked at the few big bosses of the academy. It's just as what all the students are thinking. These people are all from the dark forces. Moreover, they want to take away all of our lives, as well as our souls. Under the current situation, we must unite. Only by surviving can we continue to fight for the Academy's competition, isn't that so? Those few big bosses' expressions started to congeal. If these people were from the dark forces, if they wanted to escape from the dark forces, then they must rely on themselves. What Mo Han Shang said was very right. Only by surviving would they have the capital to fight. If they lost their lives, what was the point of them seeking refuge to Nantao Academy to go against Heavenly Academy? Right. Only by surviving can we continue to fight for the Academy. Now isn't the time for personal grudges. The other party is from the dark forces. I heard that the dark forces are a bunch of devils who kill without batting an eyelid. Their methods are cruel and extremely bloody. Unite. Unite. The few Academy students raised their arms and cheered loudly at this instance. It immediately ignited all the students' fighting spirit. Those few academies happened to be the academies which Yiqing Luo had saved by the stream. Yiqing Luo looked at the surrounding students' morale, which was obviously ignited. But, this kind of passion didn't last for too long. "All of you, shut up." A sharp, furious voice came from the Dark Coalition. The Dark Ones slowly dispersed, revealing a small path. One of them was wearing a long black robe. Her figure was curvy under the black robe. Yiqing Qian. When Yiqing Luo saw that person, her slender brows rose slightly into an arc. She had actually come in person. Then, that wolf Saint Law, who doted on her to the bone, had also come. Yiqing Qian didn't use the black robe to cover her face as she exposed her face in front of everyone's eyes. Her exquisite eyebrows had now become even more alluring and alluring. Just like a real fox. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 were stunned on the spot. Yiqing Qian? You are Yiqing Qian. Someone recognized Yiqing Qian's face. They couldn't believe it. That fickle Yiqing Qian who had become a laughing stock in Three Springs City had actually become a member of the dark forces. Moreover, looking at Yiqing Qian's expression, clearly, his position in the dark world was not low. Whoosh, there was a piercing sound. Yiqing Qian's gaze suddenly turned sharp. Chapter 1608. Ah. That Intermediate Profound Class 2 student only felt a cold glint flashing past her face. That cold glint revealed an extremely dense murderous aura. She retreated backwards in horror. But how could her speed match up to the current Yiqing Qian? That burst of profound chi was like a hot knife through butter, directly pressing towards the Intermediate Profound Class 2 student's face. Bam! Just when the Intermediate Profound Class 2 students thought that they were dead meat. But they didn't feel the pain that they had imagined. She quietly opened her eyes. The first thing that entered his eyes was a feather fan that was gorgeous like a fiery glow. The stars and fire were flickering, beautiful beyond compare. Glower Flame Fan. This was Yiqing Luo's Glower Flame Fan. The intermediate profound class 2 students were ecstatic as they looked towards the direction of the feather fan. Sure enough, they saw Yiqing Luo standing by her side, using the glower flame fan to block Yiqing Qian's attack. Madam Qing Luo, thank you. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways. Stand aside. The female student had just saved her life. Naturally she didn't dare to disobey as she trembled and returned to her companions. At this moment, the intermediate profound class 2 students looked at Yiqing Qian with shock and astonishment, and also hatred and disgust. Who could have expected that Yiqing Qian, who had a bad reputation, would use such a method to once again appear in front of everyone? From today onwards, please call me Guardian Hu. Yiqing Qian's curved brows, when she spoke, her voice rose, revealing a trace of amorous feelings. If anyone calls this guardian's name wrongly, the next move is not something that Yiqing Luo can block even if she wants to. None of the students dared to open their mouths. Yiqing Luo swayed the glower flame fan. Her footsteps were light as she passed through the crowd and walked towards Yiqing Qian. The students, because of Yiqing Luo's actions, they all sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Everyone's gazes were fixed on Yiqing Luo. That figure, petite and lovely. But it revealed a sense of oppression that couldn't be ignored, slender but proud. You. What do you want to do? Yiqing Qian saw Yiqing Luo walking towards her. Her fear towards Yiqing Luo made her unable to restrain her pale face as she trembled slightly. The scenes of the past. It appeared in front of Yiqing Qian. The humiliation that Yiqing Luo had brought to her. She would never forget it. Hatred and anger surged from Yiqing Qian's heart. There were circles of mysterious yin qi lingering in those amorous eyes. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and stared at the circle of black qi in Yiqing Qian's eyes as she smiled calmly. Eldest sister really has true love for the wolf saint technique. In order to be together with the wolf saint technique, you can even abandon the Yi family and Three Springs sect. If old ancestor were to find out about this, I wonder if he would fulfill eldest sister's wish to leave the Yi family's genealogy. Yiqing Luo's words pointed out Yiqing Qian's current situation. Wolf saint technique? It was obviously a certain boss of the underground forces. In other words, Yiqing Qian really couldn't change her fickle character. Even after arriving at the underground forces, she still resorted to all sorts of methods to seduce men. That was how she managed to achieve such a position in the underground forces. Instead of worrying about this protector, why don't you worry more about yourselves? Yiqing Qian gave a cold harumph as her eyes turned chilly. When the array is combined into one, all of you will. She suddenly lowered her voice as she leaned close to Yiqing Luo's ear and spat out a word with a sneer, die. Silence. A deathly silence. The entire fire lair fell into silence. Chapter 1609. When she heard the last 3 words, Yiqing Qian's face suddenly turned pale. That voice was clear and ethereal. As though a voice from hell. Using an extremely gentle voice, bringing her along to hell. You. Yiqing Qian's heart thumped as she was so frightened that she retreated several steps back. After being supported by the few black-robed men, Yiqing Qian still had some lingering fears. Sinister and vicious eyes stared intently at Yiqing Luo, who was pressing on. But she saw Yiqing Luo's lips curling into a smile. Her eyes were calm. That smile, which didn't look like a smile, was gazing at her, as though it was bottomless. As though there was a whirlpool, which was pulling her into that whirlpool. Yiqing Qian quivered as her fingers clenched into a fist as her expression turned vigilant. Yiqing Luo, I'd like to see what other great abilities you have. Even if Yiqing Luo had wings now, she would absolutely not be able to escape from this place. Setting up an enchantment and a forbidden spell array. Yiqing Luo would definitely die today. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as she waved her feather fan and turned back to Devil Class's side. Long Yunzhan and the rest immediately went up to her. Are you all right? I'm fine. Yi Qing Luo saw everyone's worried gazes as she shook her head. This time the dark forces obviously came prepared. Looks like King of Darkness's requirement towards us young and clean cultivators' souls is increasing. This also meant that King of Darkness's seal was about to be lifted. So, these students' souls, we must protect them. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as her voice turned chilly. Earlier Yi Qing Qian mentioned combining the arrays. Is it this forbidden spell array and the array which absorbs our soul power? Ni Ruopen asked softly. Yi Qing Luo nodded. It should be like this. The dark ones of the dark forces only surrounded them here. They didn't start a massacre. Which was enough to tell that they had a deeper motive. Yi Qing Qian's earlier words about combining the arrays, Yi Qing Luo hadn't thought deeply into it. Ni Ruopan instead saw through the clues. She had to admit that the dark forces had really made sufficient preparations this time round. An unbreakable barrier. A forbidden spell array which could continuously provide the dark forces energy. Coupled with a forbidden spell array which could absorb souls. When these two arrays were completely combined, these 1,000 students were totally meat on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Qing Luo, you've crossed hands with the dark forces before and you have such a stunning performance in this aspect. How should we leave this ghastly place now? Mo Han Shang also heard their discussion as he opened his mouth to ask with a grave expression. Yi Qing Luo looked at the various academies' bosses and they had all automatically gathered around Devil Class's surroundings. Upon hearing Mo Han Shang's question, they all started to speak. Once they heard Mo Han Shang's question, all started. However, they understood that once the formation was united, they would all die here. The reason why the dark forces are so powerful is because they have forbidden spells or secret techniques that our Nirvana realm can't use. Yi Qing Luo explained, but this kind of forbidden curse or secret art usage belongs to the act of going against heaven's will, destroying the laws of this heaven way. The person who cast the curse will also suffer the punishment of heaven way. Mo Han Shang's eyes lit up. Your meaning is, as long as we find the person who cast the curse, we can destroy the array. Chapter 1610. Although that elder's battle power is lacking, his spirit power is extremely strong. Furthermore, he knows a lot of curse techniques and secret techniques. Because of that, the Darkness Protector will definitely protect that elder very well. Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept past the surrounding academy's bosses. Mo Han Shang was the first to react. I understand. We have to pay attention to where the Dharma protectors are the most concentrated. That's where the elders who cast the curse are hiding. That's right. Yi Qing Luo gave Mo Han Shang an admiring look. This kid's reaction was godly. What should we do? Ni Lingkong's brows creased as he looked at Mo Han Shang, who was looking at Yi Qing Luo with a look of worship, as his expression was slightly impatient. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she gave a light smile. If you're willing to listen to my instructions, perhaps we might have a chance to destroy the array. The academy bosses' faces darkened as they looked at each other for a long time. Towards Yi Qing Luo. All the academies were unable to wholeheartedly trust him. Although the Devil class had been performing exceptionally well and outstandingly in the special training recently. However, Yi Qing Luo's reputation as the useless 7th Missy had already spread all over the country. A person who had been called trash for more than a decade. It was just a few days of dazzling performance. It really wasn't enough to wash away everyone's perception. Amidst this strange silence, Qian Kun Academy's eldest brother Shi Ruoyu replied in a deep voice, My Qian Kun Academy will listen to student Yi Qing Luo's instructions. Yi Qing Luo nodded with a faint smile. After a few breaths' time, another student spoke up. Luo Mo Yuan, represent the King College and listen to Yi Qing Luo's instructions. Following that, the leaders of the academies expressed their opinions one after another. These academies were mostly the academies which were saved by Yi Qing Luo earlier at the riverside. The remaining dozen academies still had some resistance and hesitation in their hearts. After all, this Yi Qing Luo had led Devil class to snatch their magic crystals not too long ago. Now, they had to obey Yi Qing Luo. It was really difficult to choose. I don't agree. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out. She saw Ji Tian arrogantly raising his head. Yi Qing Luo, you slut, how dare you deploy my Celestial Phoenix Academy students? The dark forces have appeared here because of you. Ji Tian's words made the entire space sink into a deathly silence. Everyone's eyes were focused on him. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose slightly as her gaze met Ji Tian's eyes. Her pink lips curled up slightly, a smile lingering at the corner of her mouth. Once again, she had guessed correctly. This Ji Tian was indeed involved with the dark forces. However, this Ji Tian wasn't tainted by the profound Yin Qi. It seemed like the dark forces had put in a lot of effort to make her lower her guard. Ji Tian's words indeed made some sense. However, it didn't make sense. Her existence was merely a fuse. Even if she wasn't here. The dark forces needed a large number of clean souls of young profound practitioners. He could only start from the various academies. Even if it wasn't now. In the near future, these students would also become food for the King of Darkness. Ji Tian saw Yi Qing Luo not saying a word. He thought that what Lan Ling Nua had taught him was the truth. Immediately, he straightened his back and snorted coldly. Don't think that I don't know the inside story. The dark forces have chased you all the way here to seek revenge. You want to use everyone's power to help you deal with the dark forces. Ji Tian finished his words. The expressions of the dozen or so academy bosses, who were still hesitating, changed drastically. Chapter 1611. Students like them had no grudges with the dark forces. Why would the underworld organization want their lives? In the various academies. Only the devil class of the Heavenly Academy had enmity with the dark forces. If the dark organization had come to the flame lair for revenge, then the dark organization would not have come to the flame lair. It did make sense. Big Brother Tsangtian is right, don't even think about using everyone's power. Lan Ling Nua chimed in. You still haven't given us an explanation for the students of the Wind Vein Academy dying in the blazing nest, and now you're trying to trick us into dying for you. You're too vicious. When Ji Tian heard his beloved woman helping him, he became even more complacent. The more the bosses of the academies listened, the more indignant they felt. Wasn't this Yi Qing Luo too sinister? He actually wanted to use everyone? Hearing everyone's abuse and doubts towards Yi Qing Luo, Shiruashi's eyes instantly turned red as she retorted, You're the representatives of the academy, are you people who listen to the wind and rain? Mo Han Shang nodded his head and chimed in, Student Ji Tian's words have no proof, on what basis do you think that Qing Luo wants to make use of everyone? His voice paused as an icy cold intent flashed past Mo Han Shang's eyes, if we're talking about making use of others, I think you, Ji Tian, are that kind of treacherous villain. Ever since he heard Zhao Bo's story, Mo Han Shang's impression of Ji Tian was extremely bad. You took advantage of your brother's feelings and trust towards you. For the sake of Lan Ling Nua, you killed your own brother who has gone through life and death with you. Even now, you don't have any regrets and are still together with this woman. Mo Han Shang gave a cold laugh, just based on your character, whatever you say, I won't believe a single word. You. Ji Tian's face instantly sunk. One's dark history was actually brought out in the open. No one would be able to tolerate it. In the past, they were afraid of Mo Han Shang because Mo Han Shang was the Mercenary Association's young patriarch. Now, his Ji family had been completely blacklisted by the Mercenary Union. Why would he need to curry favor with a young master? Immediately, Ji Tian's face turned black as he released Lan Ling Nua's waist as he raised his palm and struck out a palm wind towards Mo Han's hang. Ji Tian. Mo Han Shang's expression sunk as he raised his hand to counterattack. His shoulder was pressed down by a slender palm. A red feather fan flashed with an enchanting brilliance. It easily blocked Ji Tian's palm wind. Yiqing Luo slowly walked past Imo Han Shang and stood in front of him as her eyes squinted as she looked at Ji Tsang Tian quietly. Her face was expressionless and her eyes were cold. Ji Tsang Tian's body trembled slightly, and under that gaze, he actually wanted to kneel down and beg for mercy. Ji Tsang Tian resisted the urge to embarrass himself as he went on full alert. Don't waste time with him. He's just trying to stall for time. Yiqing Luo's chilly voice drifted into everyone's ears. Like a clap of thunder, every word and sentence struck the hearts of everyone present. If you don't believe me, feel free to leave. Of course, if the dark forces try to stop you from leaving, I won't help you at all. If you trust me, then don't say anything more and hurry up. The leaders of the dozen academies hesitated. She looked at Ji Tsang Tian's direction for some time. In the end, there were 5 to 6 academies who gritted their teeth and walked towards Yiqing Luo. With this departure, several academies also followed closely behind. After all, it was a matter of life and death. No one dared to use their own lives or their fellow students' lives to gamble. In the end, no matter how Ji Tsang Tian shouted. Chapter 1612. Yiqing Luo used the shortest time possible to arrange the various academies' students into their respective responsibilities. After a few days of training, Yiqing Luo more or less had some understanding towards the various academies' comprehensive ability. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to lead the devil class to plunder 18 academies' magic crystals so smoothly. From the start to the end, there wasn't any special activity from the dark forces. Yiqing Qian stood in front of the dark forces as she sneered at them. That gaze seemed as though she was looking at an ant struggling at death's door. It could be seen that the dark forces had made sufficient preparations this time round. They also had absolute confidence to take in all the students' souls. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision glanced at Yiqing Qian's complacent expression as a cold smile flashed past her eyes. Seeing the dark forces being so arrogant, she was even more assured towards her own plan. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she looked at the students who were all ready to go into action and laughed lightly. Before we start, I still need to settle something. Saying that, she turned around and faced Zi Qianqian's direction. Su Xiaolian was supporting Zi Qianqian, who was covered in blood and moaning in pain as they left silently. They were already far away from the crowd and were just a few steps away from leaving the array barrier. Suddenly, the surroundings became extremely quiet. Su Xiaolian's footsteps halted as she felt a chill down her spine. She realized something as she turned her head around. Indeed, she saw Yiqing Luo's arms were crossed as she looked at Zi Qianqian and her direction with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Su Xiaolian's legs turned into jelly as she immediately supported Zi Qianqian and quickened her footsteps as they dashed forward. Behind her, a ghostly laughter followed closely. Did you think that you helped them to bury the array's medium, the dark forces would let you off just because of that? That voice was right beside her ears. Su Xiaolian was so frightened that her legs turned into jelly as she didn't manage to support Zi Qianqian properly. She was even tripped by Zi Qianqian's leg. The both of them fell onto the ground. What dark forces, you're spouting rubbish. Su Xiaolian's body trembled as she looked at Yiqing Luo in terror. We didn't help the dark forces, we obviously only. Shut up. Zi Qianqian endured the pain as he berated Su Xiaolian angrily and subsequently stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. It's your people who said that everything must be based on evidence. We don't know any dark forces at all. How could we help them bury a matrix medium? Yiqing Luo slowly curled her dimples into a smile. The area of this forbidden spell array is so huge. In order to bury the medium, it must have taken up quite a lot of time. And the person who buried the medium, his hands should have been tainted with thick profound yin qi. As soon as she finished speaking, Su Xiaolian had already reflexively raised her hand and sniffed it. Idiot. Zi Qianqian gritted his teeth and glared at Su Xiaolian. Only then did Su Xiaolian realize her mistake and hurriedly put her hands behind her back. However, her instinctive behavior had already fallen into the eyes of the students from the various academies. Yes or no, I will not say for now. Yiqing Luo squatted down and her fingertips suddenly flicked out a pill and slipped it into Zi Qianqian's mouth. Zi Qianqian wanted to vomit, but the pill melted in her mouth. Following that, Yiqing Luo popped another pill into Su Xiaolian's mouth. In the blink of an eye, their bodies were so stiff that they could not move. No matter how much strength they used, their bodies were like rocks. Yiqing Luo lifted her leg and casually kicked the both of them to a spot not too far away. Chapter 1613. Madam Qing Luo, you might as well kill this kind of person. Why should we spare her life? So this whatever array, this barrier, is the medium which the both of them buried. If we don't kill them, how are we going to appease our anger? The students were filled with righteous indignation. All of them couldn't wait to tear out Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaolian's tendons and bones. It was these two people who had caused them to fall into this life and death predicament. Death, to them, is a release. Yiqing Luo sneered, I believe that Master Gui Wu and the headquarters will help us to settle the both of them. The students' clamoring voices stopped. They instantly understood Yiqing Luo's plan. Indeed, if these two sluts died so quickly, wouldn't it be a release for them? If this matter were to be blown to the headquarters, in order to give an explanation to the various academies and large clans, they would definitely use all methods to find out the whereabouts of the dark forces from Zi Qianqian and Su Xiaolian. These two people's clans, they would definitely be destroyed. This was the biggest punishment for these two sluts. Yiqing Luo used the same method to kick Ji Tsangtian and Lan Ling Nua to Zi Qianqian's side. The reason was, in case someone created trouble later on. As for the other Celestial Phoenix Academy's students, their boss was gone. Other than submitting to Yiqing Luo, they had no other choice. Moreover, they heard that Ji Tsangtian had killed a few brothers from his mercenary group for Lan Ling Nua. How would Celestial Phoenix Academy's students have the mood to sell their lives for Ji Tsangtian? Everyone, including those from the dark forces, had not seen it at all. At the same time when Yiqing Luo fed the pills into their mouths, her fingertips flicked out an extremely small crystal clear pearl. That pearl fell into the sand on the ground and in a blink of an eye, it was swept away by the sand. In a blink of an eye, the ground was already empty. Yiqing Luo returned to the front of the crowd as her vision looked towards Yiqing Qian who was standing in front. Your expression tells me that the two arrays are about to merge into one. Yiqing Qian's eyes were filled with viciousness, that's right. But, I've always liked to watch the prey's final struggle, especially. You personally put on a show. What a coincidence, I also like to see the drama of the complacent prey dying a tragic death in despair when their plans fail. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly. Yiqing Qian's expression sunk as she looked viciously at the dark ones beside her. All of you, play with these fellows who don't know what's good for you and enjoy the feeling of prey struggling. Yes. Guardian Who? The dark ones responded in unison. Following that, the dark one's aura suddenly burst forth as they took the initiative to attack. In this area of the curse array, their dark yin qi could be supplied continuously. Torturing these students was a piece of cake. Devil class students, release your weights. Yiqing Luo's vision swept across the crowd, and the weighted soft armor on you, remove it. Everyone was taken aback. They seemed to have just realized that they were also wearing soft armors that weighed about 70 kilograms. After a few days of hard and tiring training, they had almost forgotten about this matter. When Yiqing Luo mentioned it, all the students used their fastest speed to remove the weighted soft armor. The moment the weight-bearing soft armor landed on the ground, they could clearly feel the changes brought about by their own bodies. Light as a feather. Chapter 1614. Bam bam bam. Bam bam bam. While the students from various academies were shocked at how light they were as feathers, They heard the sound of a heavy object falling onto the ground. The students looked towards the source of the sound. Then they saw Devil Class's group of perverts undoing a strap on their wrists, undoing the straps on their waists and legs. That strap landed on the ground. It was even louder than the soft armors. Wasn't this a weight belt? This group of perverts. Not only were they wearing the specially made soft armors by ghost martial artist, their 4 limbs were also tied with weight belts. Did they need to be so perverted? The students from various academies were so shocked that their hearts were trembling. Some students didn't believe it. They specially went up to pick up the weight belt. But that weight pressed that student's veins were popping out, before he could barely lift it up. A loud dong sound was heard. The student really couldn't lift it up properly, as the weight belt in his hands fell onto the ground. In the students' minds, there were only 3 words existing: true, change, abnormal. What are you all still standing there for? Waiting for death? Yi Qing Luo's cold voice rang sharply. The students from various academies heard a buzzing sound in their ears. Their consciousness suddenly became clear. Only to see in front of them, the dark ones covering the sky and earth, attacking in groups. Ah! The students cried out in shock. They had not regained their senses in time. Just as the students were trying to avoid the dark one's attack. Suddenly, a red glow appeared in front of them, as swift as thunder, as fast as lightning. As though it was weaving an impenetrable large net in front of the students. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The dark one's attack fell into that large net. In a split second, profound light surged. That large net was imposing, filled with murderous intent. The dark ones who were the first to rush up. At the moment when that profound chi struck, they were sent flying. This strike gave those students a chance to avoid the danger. The students' figures immediately evaded, as they looked towards the front. They were all astonished. They simply couldn't believe their own eyes. They saw that slender and elegant figure, wielding the glower flame fan, gently sweeping it. That large net which blocked the dark one's attack, at this moment, suddenly dispersed. They transformed into strands of sharp profound energy that directly sealed off the attacks of the dark ones. Just now, it was Yi Qing Luo who saved them. It was Yi Qing Luo's attack which gave them a chance to catch a breather. Then, all the students saw, the woman whom they had never been able to truly trust, the woman whom they were unwilling to submit to. He walked among the hundreds of dark ones with extreme ease. The devouring flame fan in her hand. It was like the sharpest blade in the world. Wherever it went, blood spurted out. One by one, the dark ones fell to the ground. Yi Qing Luo's actions were still continuing. Her footwork was so strange that the dark ones could not touch her at all. Wherever the glowing flame fan waved, the dark ones could not dodge at all. 10 corpses of the dark ones fell to the ground, 20 dark one corpses fell to the ground, 30 dark one corpses fell to the ground, 40, this. Was Yi Qing Luo's real ability? As expected of the people supported by those perverts. There's no such thing as the most perverted, only more perverted. Those 1,500 over students finally understood why Yi Qing Luo only asked them to split into groups to harass the dark forces. Like Yi Qing Luo's ability. She alone could take down these hundreds of dark forces people. This Yi Qing Luo. Absolutely not just earth profound realm cultivators. Chapter 16:15. That majestic grandeur. That aura which was above the 9 heavens. How could ordinary cultivators possibly possess it? The various academy students were filled with a surge of confidence. At this moment, no one had any complaints as they started to resist against the attacking positions which Yi Qing Luo had set. Whereas at this moment, Yi Qing Luo, who was wandering among the dark ones, saw that everyone had already made their move. His figure flashed and disappeared into the shadows of the students. Ants could swallow an elephant. Although this group of students' abilities were not comparable to the dark forces. But according to her instructions, they suppressed the number of people. This would be able to delay the Dark Ones for some time and ensure that those students would not get hurt. This batch of Dark Ones was as she had expected. As compared to the Dark Ones whom she had met previously, their abilities were much more powerful. This batch should be those who were about to become protectors, but were still 1 or 2 steps away from becoming protectors. She had circled the area just now. It looked so effortless. In actual fact, only she knew how strenuous it was. At this critical juncture, she had to bring out a convincing ability. Using her own ability to conquer the various academy students. Otherwise those academies who were unresigned, once they threw a little tantrum. Today, they would definitely die in the hands of the dark forces. Yiqing Luo was in the middle as she spoke in a low voice. Shadow, immediately search for the position of the array core. I've already arranged for a helper to help you in secret. The other brothers, search for the person who cast the curse. Devil classes students split up. Yiqing Luo's sharp vision focused on the direction of the Dark Ones. There were 300 over people who charged forward to attack. There were still 100 over people standing behind Yiqing Qian. As though they were watching a show. Those 100 over Dark Ones were not standing in an orderly manner. Instead, they were scattered here and there. The more it was like this, the more certain Yiqing Luo was. The elder who cast the curse was definitely near those Dark Ones. The moment when Yiqing Luo's figure disappeared, Yiqing Qian acutely sensed it. Her vision had been following Yiqing Luo closely, just in case anything happened. On Yiqing Luo's body, she had already seen too many accidents. Yiqing Luo's luck was simply too heaven-defying. Yiqing Qian no longer dared to bet on this 1 in 10,000 chance of Yiqing Luo turning the tables. Yiqing Qian was on high alert as she suppressed her voice and warned the dark man beside her, stay alert and sense the surroundings. Hey, my big sister, where's your vigilance? Just as Yiqing Qian's words landed, a sweet laughter entered Yiqing Qian's ears. This voice was like a huge bell, falling heavily into Yiqing Qian's ears. Yiqing Qian turned her head around in shock. She saw Yiqing Luo's repulsive face appearing right in front of her eyes. Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Qian bellowed in rage as she turned her hand to attack Yiqing Luo's direction. But Yiqing Luo agilely evaded and raised her leg to kick Yiqing Qian. Yiqing Qian's body flew backwards. She followed closely and stepped on Yiqing Qian's chest with 1 foot. You are despicable. Yiqing Qian knew that Yiqing Luo's speed was fast. But they had not expected Yiqing Luo's speed to be so fast that they didn't even have a chance to breathe. Yiqing Qian spat out a mouthful of blood as her face turned pale and she almost crushed her gums. I'm just catching them off guard. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she increased the strength on her leg. She moved swiftly among the few hundred Dark Ones and killed close to 50 of them. What she relied on was catching them off guard. And to hit Yiqing Qian. It really couldn't be said to be catching them off guard. It could only be said. Chapter 16:16. She thought that she was well prepared. She thought that no matter how much ability Yiqing Luo had, there was absolutely no way to escape from the array. She thought that she would be able to see with her own eyes those who had mocked and insulted her go to hell. She thought. But all of them thought. But they had neglected Yiqing Luo's current ability. Earth profound grade and above ability. The difference of a single grade was like the distance between heaven and earth. Not to mention that she had already stepped into the Sky Profound grade and was known as the Sky Profound Overlord. Dealing with Yiqing Qian was simply too easy. But this indeed couldn't be said that Yiqing Qian had no brains. After all, who would have thought that? Yiqing Luo was merely in the Earth Profound grade 4th grade before she entered the Blazing Flame lair. In a short span of 5 days, she became a Sky Profound Overlord. Looking at the entire Nirvana realm. No one has been able to do that. You. Yiqing Qian realized this as her eyes suddenly widened. To be able to move freely among the 300 over dark men. To be able to kill close to 50 of them alone. To be able to silently avoid the remaining 100 over dark men's senses, get close to her and attack her. Such a powerful force. Such an irresistible force. Yi Qing Luo. Was a sky profound overlord? Other than this reason, Yi Qing Qian couldn't think of a second reason. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she smiled sweetly. From the corner of her eyes, she saw those dark men rushing up to save Yi Qing Qian. The smile on her lips grew. Her fingertips turned and the glower flame fan was like a dancing flame as it flipped in her palm. Bursts of valiant force could uproot the mountains and rivers. The moment the glower flame fan appeared, it set off layers of waves and everything on the ground had turned into a whirlpool. Those dark men had yet to get close. Under this powerful whirlwind, they were sent flying. Yi Qing Qian was the closest. She could clearly feel the terrifying aura surging from Yi Qing Luo. That valiant aura seemed to be able to absorb everything in the world. Yi Qing Qian's heart suddenly stopped. The profound yin qi which was circulating recklessly in her eyes flowed chaotically. The aura of death. She felt it. The aura which was getting closer and closer to her. Seeing the despair in Yi Qing Qian's eyes, a trace of disdain flashed past Yi Qing Luo's eyes. He gave up struggling just like that. Her good elder sister was someone who could grab onto life-saving straws time and time again when she was about to be destroyed. Make use of your advantages and live on tenaciously like weeds. How could they give up just like that? How could he be willing to die like this? What was Yi Qing Qian trying to do? Yi Qing Luo's half-squinted eyes were suffused with a glimmer of rippling luster. Retracting her peripheral vision, she leaned forward slightly. That slender body happened to block Yi Qing Qian's line of sight. What are you going to do? Yi Qing Qian's face turned pale as she looked at Yi Qing Luo who was closing in on her. The courage in her heart turned into fear. Her delicate body was trembling slightly, and her face was pale. No matter how one looked at it, it would make one feel pity for her. Yi Qing Luo chuckled softly, as her charming eyes were flowing with luster, becoming increasingly flirtatious. Elder sister, since we are going to die in this place, I naturally have to bring you along to hell. Her voice was a little chilly, but there was also a hint of playfulness in it. When Yi Qing Qian heard this, she felt a chill down her spine. Before Yi Qing Qian could react, suddenly, she heard a shrill scream coming from not too far away. Following that, numerous black-robed men, like a celestial maiden scattering flowers, flew out in all directions. Chapter 16-17. She suddenly regained her senses. She immediately shouted towards the dark ones who were still entangled with the 1,000 over students. Yi Qing Qian knew that Yi Qing Luo was sinister and cunning. She also knew that Yi Qing Luo was full of tricks. She was on guard. But she had not expected that Yi Qing Luo could instigate the students from various academies to listen to her instructions, and even discovered the secret of the array in the shortest time possible. Yi Qing Qian's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Yi Qing Luo quietly got close to her and attacked her. It was to attract her attention, to attract the attention of those 100 over dark ones who had yet to participate in the battle. Yi Qing Luo was pretending to deal with her. It was to create an opportunity for Devil Class's group to find the person who cast the curse. Yi Qing Luo successfully created an opportunity for Devil Class. And also allowed Devil Class to successfully find those elders who were hidden behind the crowd and continuously casting the curse. A total of 10 elders. They lined up in a formation. And beside each elder, stood 2 black-robed dark ones who were obviously of a higher level. On the black robes, there was an eye-catching badge. Devil Class students recognized that it was the symbol of a guardian. The Devil Class students used their fastest speed to kill all the dark ones around them. Following that, they went near the elders. Momentarily, the guardians and Devil Class students were entangled in a battle. Yi Qing Qian looked at the disrupted formation in front of her. looking at the numerous devil class students, fiercely attacking the direction of the elders. Her face turned paler and paler. An indescribable restlessness surged in his chest and spread throughout his body. Yi Qingqian herself didn't notice it. At this moment, circles of black profound qi were constantly surging in her eyes, forming a vortex. This scene, Yi Qingluo saw it clearly. Yi Qingluo narrowed her eyes, quickly loosened the restraint on Yi Qingqian, and retreated a few steps. Yi Qingluo was very clear. The profound yin qi in Yi Qingqian's body, under her irritable mood, started to stir. Shangguan Liuli had mentioned this before. What the dark forces needed was not only souls and resentment. The same logic could be used. What the dark forces needed was not only resentment and all kinds of negative energy emotions. For example, anger and hatred, as well as jealousy. This kind of emotion was the easiest to cause the corrosion of the profound yin qi. After Yi Qingqian joined the dark forces, she accepted the transformation of the profound yin qi. He was also often intimate with the wolf saint technique, whose body contained countless mysterious yin qi. Naturally, it would also absorb the profound yin qi from the wolf saint dharma. Yi Qingluo was the clearest about the consequences of being corroded by the profound yin qi. Yi Qingluo's vision swept past the students who were battling on both sides. The devil class gradually closed in on the 10 elders. The students of the various academies also used their greatest strength to block the hundreds of dark ones. Everyone was working hard to survive. She absolutely could not let Yi Qingqian spoil her plans. Yi Qingluo's eyes turned slightly cold as her vision returned to Yi Qingqian, who was completely covered by the profound yin qi. She flipped her palm and flicked out a pill. That pill had yet to be flicked into Yi Qingqian's mouth. Yi Qingqian had already reflexively raised her palm, striking that pill to the side. Yi Qingluo, this move of yours can deal with those two trash, but to deal with me, it's not that easy. Yi Qingqian retreated several steps back the moment she was released by Yi Qingluo. Her eyes were filled with viciousness, and her eyes were filled with profound yin qi. Chapter 16-18. Yi Qingluo sighed helplessly as she looked at the woman who had turned sinister and terrifying. I want you to die in a comfortable way, but you have to choose this violent way of dying. She shook her head helplessly. After all, you were once my elder sister. As your sister, I can only try my best to satisfy you. Ha ha ha. Don't just talk big. Yi Qingqian's voice was hoarse as her body gradually floated into the air. The current Yi Qingqian was exceptionally terrifying. That wisp of profound yin qi had already seeped out from Yi Qingqian's eyes. The black qi had encircled Yi Qingqian entirely. She opened her arms. The endless profound yin qi from the surroundings gathered towards her. What is that? Monster. Monster. All the students from the various academies looked at Yi Qingqian, who was floating in the sky, in terror. One by one, they cried out in terror. And this moment of panic gave the dark agents a chance to attack. Momentarily, the students from the various academies were tangled in a fight and the dark agents broke a gap. The students who were charging at the front were immediately sent flying by the dark agents. Ah! Oh no! Oh no! Quickly defend, we can't let them pass. Devil class, be careful, the dark forces are about to pass. The entire scene started to descend into chaos. After the dark agents broke through the students' encirclement, the first thing they did was to rush towards the direction of the devil class. They wanted to prevent the devil class students from getting near the elders. Those elders were the key to completing their mission today. Steady. A loud shout was heard by the students. That voice was sonorous and powerful, firm and full of tension. You only need to take care of the mission that I have given you. Leave the rest to me. That voice had a convincing magical power. It easily soothed the fear and uneasiness in the students' hearts. They saw that young lady dressed in green and white uniform, standing in front of the dark agents in a flash. Facing those dark agents who were swarming over, she didn't show any signs of retreating. Her expression was calm and indifferent. A pair of bewitching eyes flashed with a resolute radiance as she stared ahead. Profound chi surged, intense like fire. The mysterious light that the glowing flame fan shot out was suffused with a devilish red glow. They blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they charged toward the Dark Ones. That Xian Qi was invincible. In everyone's eyes, Yi Qing Luo was like a death god who had descended into the world, enough to make everything around her submit to her power. Under that powerful aura, the Dark Ones felt their chests tighten. Some of the weaker Dark Ones even coughed up a mouthful of blood. The Dark Ones in the front row were sent flying. The Dark Ones immediately gave up on the idea of charging forward. Instead, he tried to break Yi Qing Luo's imposing manner from the side. However, they did not have the time to move a single step. The mystical qi, which was like the void, had already landed on the bodies of the Dark Ones. The entire fiery lair was in a state of intense turmoil. Sky profound supremacy. The Dark Ones could clearly feel that powerful force. The girl in front of him was only 14 or 15 years old. How could it be a sky profound supreme martial artist? As for those students, after hearing the exclamations of the Dark Ones, they were shocked. His eyes were filled with astonishment as he looked at Yi Qing Luo, whose imposing manner had skyrocketed. Sky profound supreme martial artist? Yi Qing Luo was actually a strong sky profound supreme martial artist? Just how deep had she hidden herself? Yi Qing Luo, your opponent is me. Behind her, a sinister voice was heard. Chapter 1619. Bam! A loud sound. That palm wind which was filled with profound yin qi was blocked by the glower flame fan. Yi Qing Luo flipped over and lifted her leg to kick Yi Qing Qian's abdomen. Yi Qing Qian's body flew out like a broken kite. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes, her icy cold gaze without any emotion. Opponent, you're not qualified. Every word was like a sharp silver needle, piercing into Yi Qing Qian's ears. Anger, at this moment, was like a volcano eruption, exploding in her mind. The black qi in Yi Qing Qian's eyes became thicker and thicker. The profound yin qi, which was constantly released, was like vines, closing in on Yi Qing Qian's body. Yi Qing Qian's arrogance continued to rise. Ah! Yi Qing Qian let out a roar. Endless profound yin qi exploded from her body. Damn it! Yi Qing Qian was completely eroded by the profound yin qi. If it was Yi Qing Qian, she had 100% confidence, she could torture her. But, if it was profound yin qi, and under the condition that the array had not been destroyed, it could continue to absorb the surrounding profound yin qi, and keep getting stronger. Perhaps, Yi Qing Qian was hesitating. Suddenly, a gust of wind attacked from the right. That profound qi carried the momentum of swallowing mountains and rivers, like a raging wave. Who is it? Yi Qing Luo's eyes flashed. The moment that gust of wind attacked, her figure suddenly flashed, and disappeared into the air. Immediately, a red feather fan appeared out of thin air, sweeping through the air with a piercing sound. Like a rotating spiral knife, it flew towards the direction of the gust of wind. Ding! The sound of weapons colliding, the glower flame fan's attack was disintegrated. The glower flame fan, which had lost the support of profound qi, instantly fell down from the air. A fair little hand suddenly appeared, and caught that feather fan steadily. Yi Qing Luo did not know when, but she was only 10 steps away from that person who suddenly appeared. Yi Qing Luo raised her eyes, and her gaze fell onto that person. Wolf Saint Law, looks like my elder sister is extremely important to you. The person in front of him wasn't anyone else but Yi Qing Qian's female head in the dark forces, Wolf Saint Law. Wolf Saint Technique's malicious eyes stared coldly at Yi Qing Luo. His eyes darkened, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. This Yi Qing Luo, it had only been a month since they last met. He had actually stepped into the profound sky realm. This girl's talent was truly too terrifying. If he allowed her to continue to grow, it would definitely be a huge hindrance to the dark forces. Wolf Saint Technique narrowed his sinister eyes as he looked at Yiqing Luo's gaze, which was filled with dense murderous intent. Yiqing Luo naturally sensed that murderous intent. She snorted softly, a hint of mockery appearing in the depths of her eyes. I heard that Wolf Saint Technique's Wolf Saint force has already been completely destroyed, but Wolf Saint Technique still has the heart to come here to save Big Sister. This deep sense of righteousness really moves me. Hearing Yiqing Luo mention about Wolf Saint's forces which had already been annihilated, the killing intent in Wolf Saint Law's eyes intensified. The Wolf Saint force had cost him many years of blood and sweat. However, they were annihilated by that kid from the Imperial Palace. Moreover, they were completely annihilated. There was no room for him to make a comeback at all. If his lord were to awaken at this moment, if his lord knew about this matter, his life would probably be hard to keep. And the reason why the Imperial Palace annihilated Wolf Saint force, everything was because of this young lady in front of him. She still had the cheek to mention Wolf Saint force. Chapter 1620. Yiqing Luo. I want you to die. I want you to die. Just at this moment, Yiqing Qian, who was still absorbing the profound yin qi, suddenly let out a deafening roar. The black qi surrounding her was getting thicker and thicker. Her black hair, which was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, floated behind her in a horrifying manner. Wolf Saint Art, who was in the midst of attacking, heard that voice. He abruptly stopped his attack. He looked towards Yiqing Qian. The moment he sensed Yiqing Qian being engulfed by the profound yin qi, his expression changed. He speedily rushed towards Yiqing Qian's direction, forcefully pulling the raging Yiqing Qian into his arms. That profound yin qi, when it came into contact with Wolf Saint Art, dissipated. Yiqing Qian, who was still struggling, went limp and fainted in Wolf Saint Art's arms. Wolf Saint Art's expression was gloomy, as he looked at Yiqing Luo with a biting cold murderous intent. He opened his mouth and shouted coldly, "Come out." His voice had just ended when black-robed men appeared one after another. It was the people from the underworld again. Wave after wave, there were at least 130 over of them. The students from various academies, when they saw the medals on those black-robed men, their faces turned pale with fright. These 130 over people from the dark forces. He was not an ordinary dark one, but guardians. 130 over dark guardians. Which meant that the battle power of 130 over people, compared to the more than 400 people he saw now, he was much stronger. They were even stronger. And they were not just a little bit stronger. Yiqing Luo's expression turned cold when she saw these 100 over dark guardians. Wolf Saint Art's forces had already been destroyed. Wolf Saint Art could still order his subordinates. These 100 over guardians, could it be? Indeed, Wolf Saint Art ordered coldly, "Protect the 10 elders. You must stop this group of prey from destroying the array." Yiqing Luo's expression changed. These 100 over guardians were indeed not Wolf Saint Art's subordinates. But they were here to stop them from destroying the array. If Wolf Saint Art ordered these 100 over dark guardians to kill her, these dark guardians would definitely not take any action. But to stop them from destroying the array, which was equivalent to fighting against her. This holy wolf technique, even though he had lost the upper hand, he still wanted to come here and interfere. They wanted to use this opportunity to offer all of their souls to the King of Darkness. To beg for the King of Darkness's forgiveness? Yiqing Luo looked coldly at the Wolf Saint technique, which was holding Yiqing Qian in his arms, looking at her with a sneer. Her charming eyes slightly narrowed. His gaze became increasingly cold. "With me here, let's see how you plan to stop my brother from destroying the formation." Yi Qing Luo's figure stretched out. The gourd flame fan in his hand stirred up waves of Xian qi. They formed a dense net that sealed off the path of the dark protectors. Immediately following that, Yi Qing Luo stood alone in front of those guardians. The profound qi in his body rose sharply, one after another. Qing Luo. Long Yunzhan kicked away the dark person in front of him as the blue sparkling long sword in his hand flew towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. Then, he flew up and joined the battle against the Dark Guardian. The strength of the two of them suppressed the Dark Guardian till there was no way for him to advance. On the side of Devil class, they had already settled the Dark Ones and were attacking the Elder who had cast the curse. The Elder immediately threw out a smoke bomb. Following that, they all stood up and tried to escape. But they were stopped by Devil class's students. They rushed up and slit their necks. Those whose necks were directly broken would be directly broken. Chapter 1621. Overestimating Yourself. Wolf Saint Dharma snorted coldly as a chilly glint flashed past his eyes. Following that, he raised his palm and struck out with a palm strike. Devil class students sensed the danger. They could only give up on chasing the remaining 6 elders and evaded. That palm strike seemed to have broken the void, shaking the heaven and earth. After it landed on the ground, it caused the entire flame nest to tremble. The ground, which had already turned into ruins, was like a spider web, with countless cracks densely packed together. A loud boom sound was heard. The ground cracked and gravel flew everywhere. Devil class students evaded in a disheveled manner and some even fell into the cracks. Luckily Yi Qing Luo had taught them that set of footwork, which allowed Devil class students to avoid the danger. After the surrounding tremors had subsided, Devil class students stabilized themselves. Those 6 elders had long hidden behind Wolf Saint Dharma. Following that, they sat down cross-legged and continued to cast their spells, activating the 2 formations forbidden spells once again. Devil class students, go against the Dark Guardians. Yi Qing Luo also noticed the movements over there. With the appearance of Wolf Saint Dharma, Devil class students couldn't even think of getting close to those 6 elders. With the death of 4 elders, the formation's speed had slowed down by half. The person who was guarding the elders was Wolf Saint Dharma. Devil class students' current ability was not enough to go against Wolf Saint Dharma. Why not use these 130 over Dark Guardians for this bunch of youngsters to practice on? Hearing Yi Qing Luo's command, those Devil class students who had adjusted their formation and were preparing to attack Wolf Saint Dharma, almost reflexively moved towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. 50 over people, attacked those 130 Dark Guardians in an orderly manner. After Yi Qing Luo and Long Yunzhan got away, then they all attacked towards Wolf Saint Dharma's direction. This coordination. Simply amazing. All the students from various academies were sighing in their hearts. The performance of Devil class's students had completely refreshed their understanding of Devil class. The heroic spirit in their hearts was ignited at this moment. One by one, they perked up their spirits and became more serious in dealing with this batch of Dark Guardians. Sky Profound First Grade Cultivator, dare to challenge this Saint Dharma? Wolf Saint Dharma sneered as he squinted his malicious eyes. No matter how fast Yi Qing Luo's advancement was. Even so, he was no match for him. The wolf sacred beast tightened its grip around the woman in its arms and leaped into the air. The wind from his palm moved like 10,000 layers of wind and waves, directly attacking. Yi Qing Luo's expression was calm as she waved her glower flame fan and opened it abruptly, blocking that palm wind. The powerful profound qi transformed into a bewitching red glow, forming a beautiful cold lake in midair. In that instant, the air was ignited. A sizzling sound could be heard. Boom! The sound of the collision between the qi and the palm wind shook heaven and earth. Soon after, a greenish-white figure broke through the air from the force. Thousands of strands of hair fluttered on her shoulders. It made her extremely beautiful face look even more enchanting and moving. The gourd flame fan in her hand flickered with one complicated profound light after another. Her red lips curled into a smile. At this moment, everything in the world seemed to have lost all its brilliance. There was only one person in the world that could be seen. Wolf's Saint technique. If you don't try, how would you know the final result? Yi Qing Luo smiled sweetly. The moment her words landed, the expression on her face suddenly turned solemn. Her footwork was displayed. She had already overtaken the direction of Wolf's Saint technique. Long Yun Zhan immediately coordinated with Yi Qing Luo's footwork from the other side. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.